You seem to think that that's true, but... When he saw something, he looked at Theo. Brother said again. Hua Tribal Association still has its own meaning. This is a very good opportunity. Let us take revenge for the disgraced disciples. The Korean does not pay attention to the words of the brother, but looks at the reason. There's no reaction. Since I made that big deal. He's calmer. It's not interesting. Then he turned his back and went on. It's been 100 years since I was painted. We must take revenge. Big brother Kim Long replied, boom. We'll do that. We'll talk. We'll both move on. The blackout suddenly stopped. I looked up at the mountain in front of me. Children are SAO painting Hoa. Back when I came here. This place is still a small village. Every time I look at paint, I thought of someone. You are sweating in your heart. I don't know. You and I are walking into a tiger hole. The scenery in Hoa-san looks so small and shabby. Stations were built at the foot of Mount Hua-san. It is the resting place of the feet to attend the FCA this time. The only thing that came to this place was a hot sweat. It's not very pleasant. Look next to the Korean. I see everyone is hot. Just like me. I can't take it anymore, and he's grumbling ironically. What is a flower shop? Half of them aren't secular. If you're in a place like this, to understand some of it, the paint is. Kim Long sighed for an hour after hearing that. I agree, you are right. The other students were too tired to breathe, sit down on the ground and complain. If you've been miserable, climbing up to a place this high, there must be something to compensate. Over here, we have to eat the roots and stay in the electricity. The sagging give that see. Said this disciple without stopping to sigh. I don't expect to eat anything strange. I just want a good night's sleep. As their cutting power, it's even worse than the state. Because I can't stand the suffering. When forced to paint to attend the Hoa Cardboard Association this time, he then turned to tell his intentions to the Lord. Big brother, big brother. Not, we should stop this useless chapter. SAO, naturally, we have to go to this distant flower to suffer. Only the mountain people are happy. Before the constant nagging of the disciples around, Big brother Kim Long just smiled. Calmly respond. I understand you have a lot of discontent. But calm down. You also know, our senior. I have a special feeling for paint. That? I can't understand that either. Although I want to believe, but the disciples of the southern tribe still can't accept the truth. At SAO the elders, to obsess about a sect. It has failed so much there. Hear this question. Kim Long soon became moody. Think for a few seconds and say, maybe it's because they have some power. This word that actually made the other disciples laugh ironically. Potential. If they have the potential, I was able to find my place a long time ago. This student has no way. Except to paint Hoa as it is. There's no sect that's never been through. During the thin Kier period. The most important thing is the reality right now. Listen to that, the other students. I can't deny it and agree. That's right. Maybe they'll be like this in 100 years. The disciples are here. They are all very excited to talk about the decline of the mountain. In 100 years, a sect, there may not be any such development SAO. All those times fighting with us. Their power is getting weaker. What kind of state is it? We're still worried about them. We're going to have to get off that list. People are talking excitedly. Then a voice suddenly spoke. Bring a warning. I don't think people should take paint lightly. I can hear this voice. Suddenly look to the left. So that's the words of Lai Song Bai. He went on. Because if we let our guard down, you're going to be humiliated. This warning, that made everything brother was there fall into a state of contemplation. 01 who speaks the words. This Korean name really doesn't know. He laughed contemptuously when he heard his brother. I say that. He even told his brother, in a tone of contempt, just like that, brother. Brother, there's nothing to worry about. Because the brothers will not do things to help Hoa-sun regain the atmosphere. Not like a brother. The opposite. We're going to make Hoa-sun no longer have any gas. Even the atmosphere you've created for them. More. This guy is really a bad guy. He dared to make fun of his brother. And despise paint flowers. I will definitely regret it later. My brother was shocked when he heard these words. You know the silence that you can't talk about. Because you're right. I'm just saying, people shouldn't be caught off guard. Lee ejection, unexpected. My goodness is so despised by my brother. If you lose your guard, something will be different. They are painted flowers. Impotent by the attitude of the Korean. Brother just sighed. Then advise everyone one last time. It's up to you if you ignore it. You yourself will pay for that. Suddenly, another voice broke through. There's a tense atmosphere here. White is not wrong. And everyone was surprised. Look in the direction of that sound. There's someone? Are going to the disciples of the Southern Sect. This person, not the senior of the Southern Tribe or SAO. He's got a big scar on his face. The eyes are very cruel. I see the chief coming. They're all completely self-contained. So did Kim Long's group. The chief continues to step forward. And then he stopped. Then informed the disciples of the Southern Tribe. Let's all take a break. Then the elder's face became more serious. Remind the disciples who despise Hoa-sun. Not yet. You guys have forgotten about what happened at the N League. Kim Long bowed his head and replied to the elder. We didn't forget the horse. The horse continues to remind. We've been humiliated by a sect on the verge of collapse. How angry that made the chief disciple. Do you remember? Losing your face once is enough. This word of the elder, it's like rubbing salt on a monk's wound. Brother ejected. A sect that is about to make a name for the world as the Southern. We've got to compete with a buff action. Like a painting ever. Chief student want to put an end to the relationship with the paint. By Hoa Kai this time. This idea is really too paint. Maybe I never thought about it. Elder, he reminded the disciples here again. If there's someone, just because a little bit of neglect let Hoa-sun's disciples humiliate, I will never forgive that person. The students heard this. Of course there will be some worries, and probably don't dare to despise the flower paint anymore. The horse continued to teach his disciples. A general standing on the battlefield will never leave a legacy. It's like a lion catching a rabbit. I will also use my full strength. The party this time, it's not just about defeating paint. That we have to stomp on their spirit too. Turns out that's the game. The elder of Sunnam. To have such malicious thoughts, any rabbit, most of the students here have. Virtue is not very good. This old man just said, I just looked at my students, with eyes that couldn't be colder. We all have to remember that. Listen to the elders. All the disciples of the southern tribe were there. They all answered in unison, yes, elder. If you're done resting and moving on. We have to get there first. When those people wait too long, to the length of the neck. The elders' words ended. The disciples continued their journey up the mountain to paint flowers. After the teachings of Sima Sheng, in the footsteps of a male disciple, they also seem to be more excited. It's a hard climb. They finally reached the gate of the painting. In front of the gate, they all stopped. They watched a force of sight of the flower's entrance. Then the Korean was panting because he was tired, just surprised by the more spacious of Hoa Sun. What is it now? The entrance looked brighter and more beautiful than before. Look at the paint in front of you. Kim Long did not say a word. He's just thinking. I still know that the company has invested in paint. It's not been long since this happened. And in such a short time, all the money problems have been solved. They even built a new temple. Look at the mountain as it looks now. Kim Long still can't believe it. No reason. Maybe for outsiders to look at. So they tried to fix the first one. This voice comes up. That cut through the mind circuits of each Kim Long. Rao is the voice of the elders. Looks like they've made some money somewhere. The elder speculated. He said he just moved forward. Has calmed the spirits of his disciples. You don't have to worry about doing anything. Even if there is a change in paint. That's the nature of them. That's an old man who despises people. Just led the disciples. The elder Sima kept muttering. Hoa Sun is still doing nothing. The door of Hoa Sun is also gradually opened. There are people waiting for the mail. There are too many people here too. The door of the painting is opened. Nothing. The atmosphere was unusually quiet. Give others a feeling. There is no God in general. Your elders must be very tired when you are traveling. I am the elder brother of Hoa Sun. We've met before. It's good to see the elders again. The elders of Hoa Sun welcomed. That's very respectful. But the horse didn't respect his face. But in response to a word, he just let out a cold sound. Then asked. The master did not come to welcome us. This question made the elder of the painting Hoa silent. It takes a few seconds to think. Then he calmed down and answered. The master is inside. Ahead of this answer, of course not satisfied, he immediately took the blame. There are guests far away. But the chief buyer didn't want to say hello. Face directly to the elders like this. The elders of the painted Hoa are extremely stressed. I'm sweating to think of the answer. It's a face, but I don't agree. Hoa Sun as headmaster is also trying to stay calm. But it's coming in. Together angry. An elder is demanding the head of the sect. People are welcome. There's no ceremony. Look at the men in front of you. We too, the elder speculated. If you look at the attitude, you can see, this time, they were determined. There's no other way, in addition to trying to stay calm. The elder sighed for an hour. And then he came in 10-tone male. Please go this way. We've prepared a banquet to welcome the southern disciples. When you hear that, you laugh falsely. Party. Paint flowers think the festival is an opportunity to eat and have fun. Why is that okay? You must have 7,749 lives to carry him. I can stay calm enough to talk to this old man. He poked fun at me for a while, then it's as if nothing happened. It's fun to walk in, even if that is good. Please lead the way. Just got in the door. The captain wanted to see the chief. I have to go see the chief. He just walked away thinking in a disdainful way. How much can we get aid? All to scare others. You probably spent that little money to deal with the most pressing, such as paint or paint colors. That's an old man who sees the sky. There is always the thought of jealousy. Want to bring others down? The electricity inside will remain. Thinking badly, then suddenly he stopped on the brick. See. Looking down at his feet, he seemed quite surprised. Then the face begins to wrinkle in a puzzling way. Because I can't believe my eyes. Martial arts training is not the ground. I looked up, and the horse looked up at me. The electricity inside as well. The paint has changed in such a short time. That's right, it was completely different from his last thought. It's all so much grander than before. It's not that they just built SAO. As he walked, the elder looked around and never stopped. There are overwhelming thoughts running through my head. The old man knows. That old Kier was in for a surprise. So he deliberately asked the elder what he was doing. The old man could not hide his curiosity. There is something very different about it than before. My son received so much aid. I suspected him and didn't forget a word. People who call themselves political leaders. It probably won't be a thief. I heard 2 words from this thief. The elder was not surprised. Thief. Elders of the painting. It's exasperating with these words of the elder Kier. Please be careful of your words. Playing the thief. Who can utter such words? They both fell into silence. The atmosphere is so wry. Suddenly, a word that breaks the still air rises. Hit for now. The words just came out. It was a surprise to both elders. It turns out that the last sentence was from the Middle East. He doesn't look like anything. His understanding guests and having to see the attitude of the elder Sima. I'm training with the brothers of Hoa Sun. Tired of not breathing, I see the attitude of the old man. It makes the Middle East really unbearable to stand still. Say a sentence. And then the air fell back into silence. When no one says a word. The old man couldn't help but be surprised. Such an attitude of a boy towards me. His ass still looks at him in disgust. With a constant face tone, it's like coming to eat fresh. Just one word. The middle buttocks made the elder Cho Sima angry. He couldn't help but shout. What the hell were you talking about? To the angry attitude of the elder Sima. The facial muscles of the middle buttocks gradually relax. He seemed very surprised. The horse continues to shout. I asked what you just said. That. At that moment, a brother of the Lord came. He's very fast, figured out how to deal with the elder Kier's question. After that, it was as if there was nothing to show. Middle but big. Brother, I have not been running for a long time and have asked for a break. This word suddenly made Hein running. It's hard to understand. Brother doesn't understand anything. Was kicked in the middle of the buttocks. And yelled, stop talking va shit. Don't worry about running. Too bad for Brother Kier. Where are you being beaten? It hurts so much to lie down and cry. Have I ever said that? Performed in a very professional manner. He turned around and smiled at the elder. That's what it is. He's very good at catching the eye of Kier. It's a shame to get this sentence into the workmanship. Of course, this cat can't pass the eye. An old fox brain like a riding horse. He gritted his teeth and gritted his teeth. It's like you can't do anything in your head. He wanted to cover her eyes with a letter. I'm so angry. Then his disciple in the back called out. Elder. Kim Long spoke up to advise the 4 horses. Please keep calm and fight. It's not a good thing with that kid. He said he looked towards the middle of the road. Tell me who the mayor is. The buttocks heard someone ask. I am the leader. It's quite surprising. You point your hand at me and question me suspiciously? If I told you, would you know? This answer. It also makes others stupid. Silence takes a few seconds. Kim Long smiled a little. Maybe we know that too. So you can just say it. Okay, no matter what, it's not that hard. I am middle ass. This name made Kim Long frown. Don't say anything. The current shape of the middle. It's easy to hate. It's really 2 words. Has made a deep impression. In the heart of the southern tribe. But it has to be now. They get to see real people. Standing right in front of you. It's not the name of the man who humiliated the South. That's the middle butt, SAO. He's younger than I thought. You look a little scared. He's still standing there, picking his ears and playing around. The name is no different than the child in front of you. Kim Long still can't believe it. The man was humiliated because of him. I can't believe this silly name. That all transactions of the southern tribe with 10 ancient trade unions. The West has fallen into the hands of paint. Thought for a long time. Kim Long finally sighed for an hour. And then he said, that's what Ra is. It turns out that you are the leader. But as far as I can see, it seems that the chief didn't learn any rules. Then yes. The sarcasm of the man in front of him. Middle buttocks casually picked out ears and blew a puff. Then he showed the face of Kim Long's question. What do you say? Too far away, I can't hear you. Can you come closer and tell me? These words made Kim Long ignore Ra. What the middle buttocks are saying out loud again. Are you deaf? I told you to come here and talk. He said he just pinched his ear. That face looks ugly. You can't hear me. Face the contempt of the middle butt. Kim Long could not say more. He must be feeling very homesick. Although very spicy, but he couldn't say a word. I can only swear in this bastard's head. Where is it based to dare to be so insolent? Kim Long, of course, has not recovered, and also looked disdainful in the ass. He thinks, if it's a hit from Lee Song-bai, it's real to bleed and fly away in $1 billion battle, then his martial arts are not superior. Why did he dare to stand in front of me? That's the tie. That's it. And then he asked the buttocks. You are the third generation, right? The Chinese replied, why? Just listen to that. Kim Long gave a pleasant smile. Then he said with a happy expression to the middle of the ass, if so, I am worthy of your master. You shouldn't walk here yourself, rather than making me come close to you. That is, if you are someone who knows a little bit of etiquette. Middle buttocks are quite surprised by this shoulder division. Oh. Yeah. He stood silently and closed his eyes for a moment. Then you can answer it quickly. If you think about it, you are right. So if we take that word, tell the old man standing next to you. This is not about the elders of the tribe. Ask our chief disciple Ra to meet him. It is still polite to ask him to come closer. It is true that the middle butt once said is only standard. Kim Long was fired. I can't say a word again. How to say it? While middle butt was right. The middle buttocks are very quick to corner Kim Long into the secret. You didn't wait for him to think, you asked right away. Right? Kim Long frequency. Of course, I can't answer this question. He was so bitter that he clenched his teeth. He thought in his mind. He's made his own agenda tick. It makes me feel like I'm criticizing the elders. All the anger of Kim Long. They are all trapped by him. He gripped his hand so tightly that he trembled. Must have deliberately led the story. Let your own mouth say it. Of course, the ass is very cute right now. Take out this trap by Kim Long. How can I make it difficult for him? This Kim Long was so angry. It's about to explode. It's about to be unstoppable. Then the elder Sima had stopped him from going back. He stopped and glanced at Tan Kim Long. Elder. Private code. The elder soon looked at the mouth-watering heirlooms of the middle butt. That's why he stopped his students. This kid's mouth is not the right kind. He then set the siege on his disciple by telling middle butt that the love you have for the chief, his personality is commendable, so we're not going to search anymore. The buttocks are also very meek and say yes. But your disrespect and my disrespect, not the same. Do you know what the reason is? My ass is wondering what it is. The sinister old man replied firmly. There has been contempt for the middle butt. Is the power? Someone has to be critical. That disrespect is called disrespect. And if there's no criticism, then it'll just automatically pass. This old man is too delusional about your own power. The right for you to criticize. It is from the power that Ra. The impiety of a man without power like you. It's disrespectful. The impiety of someone as powerful as I am. It can't be called disrespect. He said he was holding his hand tightly. These absurd teachings. If the middle of the ass wants to soak, it can't be absorbed. You think quietly for a moment. Then say, you should learn to talk more simply. Before we talk about ritual. That's what his ass said. He smiled sinister. And then continued to teach the middle of the ass. When a child's insolence is easily forgiven. But if at some point, that same evil will take your head. Remember my words carefully. Even without saying anything, the eyes of the middle butt, he showed his hatred for the old man in front of him. Don't wait for the buttocks to say another word. The old man quickly wanted to leave. Let's move on. Getting to the elders is also difficult. He doesn't know how to protect his disciples. Just close your eyes with bitterness. And when they're done, they keep moving forward. The disciples of the southern tribe just pass in front of the middle butt. Among them, the middle buttocks suddenly caught a familiar shape. That's why ejection. At this point, Lee also turned to look at the middle of the ass. Between the vast sea of two sects, you two face each other again. He looked at his ass for a long time. Just look, not say a word. Then suddenly calmly bow to the middle butt. An action that no one in the southern tribe has done. Both. Chinese Cotton saw that. I'm also happy to smile at Lee evacuation. The same goes for White. There doesn't seem to be any animosity between the two of you. Every disciple of San Nam, just like that passing people in the ass, accompanied by a whisper. They're gone, and the ass is trying to relax. Except for these thieves. Dare to carry the body to the flower paint is enough to make me angry. And yet, they dare to humiliate even the chief disciple. This enemy does not pay, surely cannot sleep peacefully. Middle ass think, I am not going to treat you kindly. And now you're going to mess up. My brother is still in pain. Sitting on the ground, blame him. Are you crazy? Why did you do that? At SAO, you dare to mess with the elder of the southern tribe? That's the elders. The buttocks don't respond. I will give you another lucky one. The previous petal didn't stop hurting. I was given another one. This brother's pain. Even the sky can't get through. Next, he turned to the brothers next to him. The brothers also saw it. What those bastards did. Don't you think you can handle it too? When you hear that, explain. It's not that we don't want to hold back. But we have no other way. The eyes of the middle buttocks became extremely cold. Brothers, listen carefully. He said, middle butt, and pointed to the south. Forward dispatch. If you lose to those bastards. Every word is said. This is also the desire of the Middle East. You hold my hand tight. Clearly show determination. Then my own hand will beat you to death. You know what? That's right. There's nothing you can't do. You can lose at the hands of others. Or go out and get hit by someone else. We'll ignore it. But even if you die, I can't see you either. Defeat under the south. Who let me see the scene? If you don't want to see it, prepare yourself. This encouraging word. It's a little scary for the brothers. But the brothers don't have enough confidence. But we're not confident that we're going to win. I'm not confident that I will win. It's just that the middle of the buttocks has just popped up. It makes the reader excited too. You are the brothers in front of you. Try to lose even one person. I'm going to beat them all to death. Do you hear me? My ass screamed so loud, the men above can also be heard. He looked down from above with a suspicious face. I don't know what he's thinking. Kim Long saw what Han noticed and asked. That boy is worth your attention. Korea is silent and does not respond. Kim Long continued. You don't have to worry about that kid doing anything. The name doesn't know that. Just ignore him. Being angry with someone who doesn't know. It is the privilege of the weak. There's only frogs at the bottom of the well. I don't know what heaven is. That's just reckless. That's what he said. Is it any different than slapping yourself in the face? Before advice full of contempt, Kim Long's other. The Koreans just silently thought without saying anything. So you don't have to regret anything. Because later on, we still have a chance to punish that bastard. Although this is not the word of a major disciple. Should say, but I'd love to know when Ra's mouth is ripped open. Can that boy still have such a big mouth? Only now does Korea say. That kid was the one who started it, but he had to be right. That boy was the one who started it. Which side has the power? That party has the right to speak. In the end, martial artists have to use swords to talk. Keep waving your lips like that. It doesn't change anything. It will be very interesting this time, middle butt. Just thought, this Kim Long had a very dangerous smile. I don't know if he's planning something very bad. Or is it simply contempt for others? What's the end worth for people like this? Four horse hoist. He stared at the people of the mountain with a very thoughtful and suspicious eye. He wrinkled his eyebrows uncomfortably. I can't believe the beauty in my heart. What the hell is going on here? Compared to a year ago, things were completely different. I can feel the warmth. It comes out of their bodies. It's because they have money now or something. The horse continued to glance to the people next door. He secretly despises in his heart. Even though SAO, there's no way the paint can ever own anything. You can't cross the South. This unsubstantiated claim. The four horses looked uneasy at the Hua Sect. They made me lose nothing. Right after that, the horse immediately smashed the tea in his hand, down at the table full of anger. The head of the Hua Sect saw that, smiling softly asked, I don't know if this tea fits the elder's mouth. He looked at the cup of tea in his hand. The tea is very strong. It is really good tea, but we've been so far. I don't like the taste of tomorrow at all. He said with a smile full of meaning. Smile on the lips, Hua Sect immediately becomes rigid. He was silent and did not answer. After a while I asked him in question. I don't know why. That the elder, I don't like the taste of the future. The driver quickly replied, well, why? Every forest. It's always a place full of different smells. The incense of heaven and earth, the fragrance radiating from the trees, and the fragrance of the dew. But in places where the flowers bloom, there's only the smell of tomorrow. Because the smell was so strong, so it crushed all the other smells. He shook the cup of tea in his hand and put it directly on the table. The wings of the morning flower floating on the tea. The horse continued to speak, but the world is a place where all things live in harmony. Right. So, then the smell that disrupts that harmony of tomorrow's flowers. Then I like the smell of tea even more. More than that. Listen to the horse. Brother Sao puzzled glared at him. In my mind wondering. At the moment. That's what he said. The smell of tomorrow breaks the harmony and drown out all the smells. Why is he referring to the painting in the past? Because I want to confess the world, so I rejected his father-in-law. The horse smiled and said, the idea of tea is here. Human tissue chief, let's talk about the main thing. Frankly, the relationship. Our system is almost like an enemy. Then you're here.